Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and at long last, I've finally been able to track down the new Loyal Subjects Dragon Ball Z blind boxes at Walmart. These blind boxes cost about $13 each, and there are a variety of Dragon Ball Z characters you can collect, including Goku, Piccolo, Frieza in his final form, Super Saiyan Vegeta, regular Vegeta, Perfect Cell, and there's some chases that you can get as well, including a Build-A-Figure Shenron Dragon. So, without further ado, we're going to open up this box, see which figure I got, and then stick around because I also been doing some thinking about the value of these figures and whether or not I think Loyal Subjects has overpriced them or not. So, before we get to that, let's see what I got. So as luck would have it, I happen to have gotten Goku, regular, non-Super Saiyan, normal old Goku. According to the box, he has a 2 in 12 chance of showing up in every case, so that makes him pretty darn common. But nonetheless, let's take a look at him anyway. So as you can see, proportionately, the Loyal Subjects have taken a very stylized approach to these types of figures, as noticed by the way that his arms are. Notice how huge they are and how low they hang down. Like Goku has like monkey arms. And so if you want to pick these guys up, just know that they are not going to look like you would see them in the anime. Instead, they're going to have a style to them that's sort of super deformed, big head, smaller bodies type of style that we see a lot of these days when it comes to collectibles. And he comes with a couple of things. One thing, of course, being one Dragon Ball. This is the 4-star Dragon Ball that fortunately Goku can palm in his hand very easily. And he also comes with interchangeable hands. So as you can see right here, he has open palm hands, and he comes with fisted hands in the box, and the fisted hands are right here. So they come on him when you take them out the box, and they're quite hard to take off. I was afraid that I was going to break them when I took them off, but fortunately everything worked out okay, and I put the open hands on him. Why did I do that? Because of course when you have a Goku, the one thing that you want to do when you pose him up is you want him to shoot a fireball. You want him to get up a Kamehameha wave, you know? And you can't necessarily do that with this figure. You can't pose him in that way. You can kind of make it look like he's conjuring one up, kind of like that. But that's pretty much the extent of it. And that's hindered by the articulation, which there is articulation, but you won't be able to get him to look like he's actually shooting the fireball. Just more so him building it up. So really quickly, let's go over the articulation. Now, these are called action vinyls. So how can you move them around? Well, for one, of course, your head's going to move. And the head, you can kind of hear it. It's a little bit stiff. You got to work it out, but it's the regular left to right, not so much up and not so much down. As for the legs, they go forward just a little bit. You can't really pull them out to the side all that much. And there's no knee joint, so you can't bend the knees at all. But you can move the feet. The feet do swivel a little bit. And then as for the arms, of course, they're going to move up and down. And there's a swivel at the like at the upper arm. It's not an elbow joint. It's not really a shoulder joint. It moves kind of like at the upper arm there. As you can see, you can kind of move that around. You can rotate that around, and the hands also rotate as well. No kind of movement in the feet as far as pivot goes, but you do have a little bit of a, I don't even know if I want to call this like an ab crunch. It's not really an ab crunch necessarily, but you can kind of sort of twist the torso, but not really a crunch. And you can stand him up, and he stands up pretty well by himself. Now, as far as the paint on this goes, I will say that the paint is good. It's decent. It's okay. It's not brilliant. It looks a little thin in some areas to me. I don't see any areas that are unpainted. The line work was done pretty well. It's just that I look at the paint like on his gi a little bit, and part of me wishes that it was more vibrant, but it's not bad. It's not bad paint at all. And the decals on the face came out clean as well, and I'm happy about that. And that's the way that it should be, considering that this figure does cost $13. So compared to some of the other figures that you can get on the market, I wanted to compare this Goku, as far as price goes, to one of my favorite lines that I do collect, and that's the Jakks Pacific World of Nintendo line. So I want to bring over Mario here. So Mario is about 4 inches tall. As you can see, he's not that much taller than Goku. And the typical retail price for a World of Nintendo figure in the 4-inch scale is going to be around $10. Now, Toys R Us tends to charge a little bit more because that's Toys R Us and that's what they do. But if you get these guys at Walmart or Target, basically you're going to be spending around $10 for them. So about $3 more than this Goku figure here. And when I compare them as far as, well, how does the paint look? Compared to them both, they're kind of the same, you know? The paint is fine on both of them. You know, I would say that it's good. It's not bad. And I can compare this Mario figure to any of the other World of Nintendo figures that I have behind me because they all have the same type of quality associated with them. As far as articulation goes, it also seems to be kind of more of the same. Mario has a little more articulation, but not too much. You know, you can still move his legs. You know, he has a bend on his leg where Goku does not have the bend. His arms can move up and down. He has swivels. You can move his head. It's very basic articulation, but it works. It works. So this costs about $10. This costs about $13. So we're kind of comparable at that point. So it's starting to make a little bit more sense. Now let's bring in another figure on the other end of the spectrum. Now what I have over here is a Superman figure from Mattel's DC Multiverse line. Now this figure and all the other ones in the Multiverse line cost about $20. And when you look at the paint on this particular figure, I'd say that it is comparable once again to the type of paint that we get on the $10 Jakks Pacific World Nintendo figures, and also the paint that we get on this $13 Loyal Subjects figure. Now that's not a huge compliment, but then again, it's not necessarily a huge detriment to the figure because like I said, the paint was good. It's fine. It's just that for $20, you would expect more out of a figure like this because you're paying twice as much compared to something like you would get from Jakks Pacific. And the articulation, while better than something that Jakks will offer up and better than old Goku that you can barely see in the frame, is still very much lacking when it's compared to something like Marvel Legends. So this figure is $20, this figure is $10, and old Goku and his friends are $13. So when I compare all that together and some of the other toys on the shelves these days, it makes me wonder, maybe old Goku here is not necessarily as overpriced as I initially thought it was. It seems to be somewhat comparable to what's on the market right now. But you know, the main thing that makes this figure feel like it's really, really overpriced is this thing. This blind box. Because blind boxes have this inherent stigma of being darn near impulse buy items. These are things that you grab because you just really want to take a chance really quick. You find them in the toy aisles, half of them are usually opened up, and they're plentiful and they're cheap. So if you were to buy one and spend $3, $4, $5 on it and you get a duplicate, you go, oh, that sucks, but it doesn't bother you too much. But the fact that these cost $13 each for a blind box, it really, really hurts the perceived value of a figure like this. And I think that's the biggest issue with these Loyal Subjects figures, is that they simply cost too much to be inside of a blind box. And because of that, it will prohibit me from trying to buy probably more than one or maybe two more of these, if even that. Because $13, in my opinion, is too much money to take a gamble on getting a figure that you may already have, especially considering the odds of these figures in here. I believe there's only about 12 or so that can come inside the case, and you have 6 characters that have a 2 in 12 chance of appearing. So there's a very good chance that you will get duplicates over and over and over again. And then the chase variants, 1 in 96, 1 in 48. And then you have those Shinron Build-A-Figure parts, which they don't really go into detail about how you can get them. It really just seems like you have to hope that you get the Shinron parts and then Hopefully you don't get a duplicate Shinron part, and it just get the amount of money that you could possibly spend blindly opening these things and buying cases is absolutely mind-boggling. And for that reason, I do not see myself collecting this entire line in blind boxes because it is simply way too much money. And I would like it better if this $13 blind box were done away with, and instead they just introduce some small open packaging so that you can see the figure that you're getting. You can have the accessories, sort of like how SH Figure Arts does it. Keep the same price, keep the chases, keep the rarity, but just get rid of the whole blind box thing. I know loyal subjects, that's how they make their money, so they're probably not going to change it anytime soon. But in order to get me to pay more attention to this line, you have to get rid of that $13 gamble, because to me that is way too much to take a chance on figures that you may already have. So that's kind of like my opinion on it. They're fine figures if you don't mind the whole, disproportionate look, but the business model behind it, I do not like at all. So yeah, that's my analysis, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and I will see you next time.